Hello all and welcome to Astro Wheel of Fortune. My name is Vlada and I read tarot, and today I'm doing a reading on general career messages. So we're gonna have 4 groups for this reading. We're gonna keep the reading as open as possible to see what messages want to come through, but we're going to be looking at your career, whether you are in a job, whether you run your own business, whether you're self-employed, or even if you're not currently employed, what could be coming up for your career. So yeah, that's this can also be applied to situations where you're maybe studying something, so I'll try and apply it to that as well. So with that, if you want to see which group is appealing to you, we've got group 1 with Cat Tarot, we've got group 2 with Modern Witch Tarot, we've got group 3 with Lightseers Tarot, and we've got group 4 with the Wheel of the Year Tarot. So if you want to pause the video and see which one is pulling you, maybe it's multiple groups, maybe it's none of the groups, please keep in mind if you're not being attracted to any of the cards or any of the decks, make sure that you are aware of that. There may not be a message here for you if that's the case, but if you do feel a pull towards any of the decks, I'll see you at your pile and we're going to get started. So I'll just push these aside. And we're starting with group number 1. So group number 1, let's get into your reading. So general career messages, what do you need to hear about your career? So let's look at your current energy in your career. What is your current state in your career? Let's look at that first. So current energy for group number 1 in their career. Okay, we've got the 8 of Pentacles, and we also have the 10 of Wands in reverse. Well, first of all, I feel like you've been working really hard. I feel like your current state is that of someone who's very diligent with their work. So whatever you've been doing, whether you've been studying, working, putting effort into your career in some sort of way, it's definitely something that is noted here by your guides. You have been a very diligent worker. Diligency is coming up as a word especially. So there's a lot of precision that I'm picking up on. So maybe you've been putting a lot of very intentional, very precise energy into your career, into your work. At times it was almost overwhelming, and I feel like maybe some of you are a little bit tired at this point. Maybe you're feeling like maybe you're waiting for some sort of payoff. I'm not necessarily getting that you're not getting any payoff at all. I feel like you are getting payoff and returns. So there is something that you're content with in your career. That's the feeling that I'm getting. You're currently, at least to a certain degree, at least I'm kind of getting like you're 50% content and 50% feeling like it could be better. So it doesn't feel like you're completely disappointed in your career, for example. If that's not the case, maybe this is not a group for you. I feel like this group is definitely for those of you that are pretty content with how your job is going, how your career is going, but you do feel like you could be doing better, or like something could be happening, like more progress could be happening for you, ideally. You know, there's kind of this feeling of, ideally I would be further along, but I'm also not completely dissatisfied. I feel like things are working out pretty well for me. There is a feeling of satisfaction here to a certain degree, as I said, and I think it's because, not just because you're focused on the progress. I don't think you're just focused on the progress or the next goal or the next aspiration. You're also really actually someone who enjoys the process of your work. So you could be someone who is, for example, if you're studying, you're not only thinking about like, what grade am I going to get in my next project, or what grade am I going to get in my next exam. You're also enjoying studying the subject that you're actually studying. You're enjoying absorbing the information and the knowledge that you're absorbing. If you're in a job, it's not just about when's my next promotion, when's my next bonus. Of course, those things are really nice, and it's something that we all would love to get, and it's something that you like to get. but you're also just enjoying the process of your job. You actually enjoy maybe dealing with your clients, or you enjoy dealing with the kind of tasks that you have at hand, or at least most of your job is something that you actually enjoy. So if you don't enjoy your career, you don't enjoy your work right now, again, may not be the group for you. That's why I'm pulling your current energy to kind of solidify whether this is a group for you or not. So the kind of people that I'm seeing this group being for is the people that see that your career could be better, things could be working out better for you in your career. You wouldn't mind getting some sort of sharper progress in your advancements, but at the same time you see it through the lens of, but I really enjoy the work that I do. I really enjoy interacting with the people in my job. It also has a feeling of you working on a craft. So you could be working on a project, or like maybe you're in a job where you feel like you get to perfect your craft, or maybe you're in a course, or you're in college studying something that you see or perceive as your craft. And so this is not just about short-term rewards. You're also looking at the long-term benefits of being in this job or this career. So that's your current energy that I'm picking up on here, group number 1. So let's have a look at your what's coming up in your career in the near future. So let's say in the next 6 months or so, what's coming up in your career? What can you expect in your career in the next 6 months? We've got the 9 of Wands in reverse, 10 of Pentacles in reverse, Page of Swords, Page of Swords, and the Hermit card in reverse. Okay, let me think about this. For some of you, maybe the reason that you're quite content with what you're doing in your career right now is because you're not really willing to switch or change lanes. So, and not necessarily in a dramatic way, like completely change what you're studying or completely change the career path that you're on. But there could be little habits or little tasks that you tend to give yourself day to day that require change from you in your career. In the next 6 months, I think you're going to be pushed to change your routine around your career. So maybe from the point of view of, if this is a project that you're working on, maybe you have established a certain routine that you work on and how you progress in that routine. And while it's something that you enjoy, and I can see you're satisfied with it, it's going to become a little bit stifling for you in the next 6 months. You're going to start noticing how this routine does not serve you anymore. And not because the routine is bad, but because this routine was serving a different type of energy in your career. You're going into a new energy in your career where a new routine will have to be established. So to me, this feels like if you were working on a project, let's say, right? And this project, when you were starting out this project, you set a certain routine and you woke up at a certain time, you did certain tasks during that day, and you had a certain level of involvement with this project. That's gonna have to change because your project is elevating to a new level. And so when a project goes into a new state of being, you also have to elevate yourself into a new state of being. Now, I'm seeing that you might have some resistance against that, which is completely fine. I feel like I deal with that a lot myself. There are a lot of things that when I establish a routine for myself, I don't know, maybe you feel like this as well. I feel like I struggle with establishing routines for myself, and routines are not something that come naturally to me. I really have to force myself into them. And when I finally establish a routine and I finally feel comfortable in my routine and I start noticing that this routine is not serving me anymore, I get very resistant because that means I have to establish a new routine and struggle to establish myself into a new routine again. And I'm like, no, this is the routine that has worked for me. I know that I have to change this routine. I'm not, like, I'm not an idiot. I can see that I need to change my routine. But oh my God, it's like so much work. It's so much, we can perceive establishing new routines as so much work, because they are, really, if we think about it. And I feel like there might be a little bit of this energy with you. It's kind of like, I just established a routine that I like. I just got into this routine and I feel comfortable and savvy in this routine. But the thing that your guides are saying here, it's not like you have to completely establish a brand new routine from scratch. What you'll actually have to do is just that you have to adjust the existing routine that you have to accommodate the new level of your career progression. So for some of you, this could even be because you are taking on a new project in work, or maybe you're changing roles in your career. Maybe you're being promoted. And so in order to accommodate that promotion, to accommodate that new level of existence in your career, you have to become comfortable with establishing a routine that suits that level of involvement in your career more. And I feel like you might have some resistance towards that. You may feel like you want to slip back into your old routine a lot. You may not want to let go of certain tasks that, like, I'm kind of even getting, you maybe right now, even in your current energy, you're doing certain tasks that you really don't need to do, or you're doing certain things that no longer resonate with your career. Like, how can I adjust it to studying? It could be that maybe there was a certain module that you were doing in your school or career or whatever it is, or in your course or degree or whatever you're studying, and that module is done now and you really enjoy doing that module, and you actually established a really nice routine around that module, and you're kind of thinking like, no, I'll just keep studying that specific topic even though I know that topic is not needed anymore and I'm moving on to new things and new modules. I just really want to continue studying it. And there's nothing wrong with continuing to study it. But if you are prioritizing that, before you're prioritizing things that actually have to be done, you are kind of doing yourself a disservice. Even though you are very interested in that one specific module, maybe it's time to recognize that you've already learned everything there is to learn in that specific topic. I'm kind of getting that as well. Maybe there's a reluctance to let go of something that you have mastered in your career. It kind of feels like you've mastered a certain side of your career, a certain aspect of your career, and you're like, I don't want to let go of it because I really enjoy it, I really love it, and I feel very confident in my knowledge and understanding of this specific subject or this specific skill. But your guides are saying, we need you to start learning new skills. We need you to start learning like new aspects to this career, to this subject, so that it's great that you mastered this one subject. It's great that you've come to some sort of mastery in this, in this subject or in this line of work. But when you master something, there's no point in pretending like you still need to master it. There's no, it's like when we start over polishing something. That's the feeling that I'm getting with you, group one. It's almost like you're over polishing something. It's like it's polished, it's clean. You got it to the maximum. And of course, it's very hard to say that you can master anything ever because things are always evolving. So, but for now, from what I'm seeing in your cards, for now, it's time to put down that thing that you pretty much have mastered at this point. It's time to put down that subject or that side of your job or career that you can do with your eyes closed. Like, that's the feeling I'm getting, that there's something that you can do with your eyes closed, your hands tied, and you can do it in your sleep basically. But you have grown so fond of it, you have grown so connected to it, that it's almost like a grieving period where you feel like, letting go of this will feel kind of hard for me. But it's the thing that I'm getting here is that you're not letting go of it forever. You're not letting go of it. You're not letting go of it forever. You're not letting go of it and you'll never come back to it. It's just right now you've mastered everything that there is to master about it. And when you revisit this side of your job or your career or your studies, there's going to be new things for you to learn. And that level of mastery, you're going to be able to build on it. Whereas right now, there's not really an opportunity to build on it anymore. That's kind of what I'm feeling for you. Maybe it kind of feels like there's also some curiosity about a new subject that you're noticing, or you're noticing some sort of level of curiosity around a new topic or a new type of role that you can take on in your career. And there's a bit of fear there. There's a bit of fear because you're like, well, no, like, why wouldn't I stay with the thing that I've mastered? Your guides are saying because you would get bored. You'd get bored, and it's time for you to learn new things and learn new topics. And in fact, if you go and learn this new side of your career or this new topic, get involved in this new aspect of your career, you would probably be able to build not only onto this old subject that you've mastered, but also onto this new subject that you're going to master. And you could maybe even merge them together and create something completely new. So don't be afraid to leave this thing that you know how to do in your sleep behind for a little while. You're not abandoning it. You're just leaving it behind for now. So I also want to pull some astrology cards for this specific topic. So that's what's going to be happening in the next 6 months. You're going to be, I think you're going to be leaving something that you've mastered, not forever, just for the time being, to focus on something that you don't know much about, but it's something that piques your curiosity, and it's something that's very interesting to you. So we've got Scorpio. Scorpio energy, it digs deep, and it's a very investigative energy, and it's something that likes to get to know a subject or a topic or a person on as deep a level as possible. And I feel like you've done that with something here. You've gotten to the deepest core of what this subject is, of what this task is, of what this skill is. And your guides are saying, well, you've gotten to know. Now it's time to use this scorpionic energy on a new subject, on a new topic, on a new class. It's time to learn a new skill. And it's kind of like you've become even a little bit obsessed with whatever this thing you've been doing. You know, again, it's like you're perfecting a craft, and you've been perfecting it and perfecting it and perfecting it. And you've pretty much come to a point where it's near damn perfect. And you're still like, no, I don't want to let go of it. You almost treat this skill or task as your baby, or this responsibility as your baby. You're like, I'm not ready to let go. And your guides are saying, no, you are. And the thing is, what's funny here is that you might think that you will not, you're aware that you like this new thing that you're getting curious about. You're aware that this new subject or this new aspect of your career piques your curiosity. But you're like, but what if I don't get as obsessed with it? What if I don't get as interested in it? And your guides are saying, oh no, you will. You know, you're going to be just as obsessed with this new thing that's piquing your interest as you are with this current thing that you're damn near mastering. We have North Node. Yeah, the thing is with the North Node, it's time to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and move into something that doesn't feel so comfortable, but something that feels interesting and something that piques your curiosity. So I feel like there's something that you are exploring in the next 6 months that you are not necessarily a master of. You're not necessarily that curious, or not that's not true. You are curious. You're not necessarily that established in, I would say. So maybe a new role, maybe a new job, and you're like, I'm not established here. I'm not a master of this job or situation. And that might be a little bit scary at first, but you'd be surprised how quickly your interest will be. Because Scorpio energy is like a drill to me. It's like when the drill goes with a lot of intensity, goes into a wall, it can go deep. And that's your energy around things that you find interesting in career, especially, I feel. Things that you find fascinating. And I feel sometimes you drill yourself so deep into the ground, or, you know, like if we're using the metaphor of the drill, because I'm getting like, you know, more those like huge drills that builders like drive into the ground. You drive yourself so deep into the subject that you forget that you started at the top with this subject as well, that you at one point you were a novice at this subject as well, and at one point you enjoyed it without needing to be a master at it. It's almost like when you master something, you forget that you can enjoy things without being a master of them. But every time you start a new task or a new skill or a new subject, it doesn't take you too long to become obsessed with it. You just forget how your obsession works, I suppose, in your career. I feel like you're someone who's really into your career. That is something that I'm getting. I feel like you're someone who, like, again, like I said, you're someone who enjoys your career for the most part, I feel. Again, like, I'm struggling to see a side of you that is kind of like unsatisfied in your career, because I feel like whatever you bring into your career, you make sure you enjoy it. You make sure that it's something that you actually give a shit about, or something that you care about. Okay, so let's see long term, you know, a little bit more long term, maybe within the next year or so. In a year's time, what can you expect in your career? We've got the Seven of Pentacles. Oh, investments paying off. That's what it's saying to me here. We've got the Knight of Pentacles, stability, and slow progress, but progress nonetheless. Slow, persistent movement, but a lot of stability is coming through. High Priestess, wow. And we've got the Ten of Swords. I feel like in a year's time, your career is going to be moving steadily. You're still going to be enjoying it a lot. And again, I'm getting the High Priestess here. The High Priestess talks to me about like sacred knowledge and wisdom. I feel like you're going to become a lot more wisdomous in your career. And you're going to feel, in a way, whatever you're mastering right now and whatever you're going to master in the next 6 months, or you're going to begin mastering in the next 6 months, you're going to be able to combine them. And I was feeling that for you. I feel like you're combining. You're not the kind of person who just masters one thing. You master many things, but the way that you master them is like you master one thing for a little bit, and then you get to a point where it's not that interesting to you anymore. And you kind of go, but you have a fondness for it, right? And you have this feeling of enjoyment towards it. And so you still want to keep doing it, but you're doing it more for enjoyment and pleasure rather than doing it for, you know, curiosity and learning. So it's almost like every time you notice yourself feeling like you are doing something just because you're routinely used to it, it's time to switch the subject or the task or the role that you're doing so that you can start with something new. And so you master one thing to a certain point. When you get to that point of routine and it being almost overly routine, you need to go to the next thing. And then you start mastering that and you develop a routine in that and you've mastered it as well. And then maybe you do go onto a third thing and you master that as well and you create a routine around that. And then you go back to the thing that you left in the first place. And you see, now that I've learned these other two subjects and I've mastered these other two subjects to a certain degree, let me see what I can take away from those two subjects to bring to the original thing that I was learning. But it's the same way. What I'm getting here as well, the thing that you're so afraid to leave behind, whatever the skill or task or role is, you're gonna take the knowledge that you have acquired from this specific routine that you're so fond of and you're so attached to, and you're actually going to be able to apply it to whatever this new curiosity or this new subject is. You're going to be able to apply it and see this new subject that you're learning through a new lens, through a different lens, thanks to the routine that you've established. You feel like someone who needs to change your routine almost like every 6 months or something like that. That's what I'm getting. And I feel like you're going to have a good system for that in the next, like, I feel like in a year's time, you're going to have a system where you're changing your routine every 6 months. But every time you change your routine, it's informed by your routine that you've just done. I hope that makes sense, because I feel like I might not be explaining it very well. But you're someone who's not scared of going, okay, I've learned everything I need to learn here. Time to start my next project. Time to establish a new routine for the next 6 months. Time to decide what I do for the next 6 months. But the way you're doing it is in such a grounded way, in such a practical way, that it's not chaotic. You're not doing it in a chaotic way. So let's pull some more astrology cards to get more information, any more advice for your career. I feel like for your career, you need to switch it up every 6 months or so. Like, that's what I'm getting. It's like your routine, the more you can refresh your routine in your career, and I'm not saying like, you know, every month you establish a new routine. I'm more so getting like every 6 months or so. Changing up your routine brings you a new perspective on your career. Maybe that's a challenge that your guides want you to embrace. We've got Scorpio again. Don't be afraid to leave your obsessions in your career, because I feel like you're someone who likes to investigate and get obsessed with things in your career. Maybe you have a Scorpio North Node, because that's or maybe Scorpio MC. So Scorpio North Node, Scorpio MC, or like midheaven, 10th house, like to investigate when it comes to their careers, like to become almost obsessive with their projects, with the things that they're doing. So I feel like your guides are saying it's a good thing that you want to become obsessed with certain elements of your career, certain elements of your career path. But the thing is, you need to have limits or boundaries around when are you actually investigating and you have this like positive obsessive energy about it, and where do you become obsessive about it because you're afraid of letting it go. But the thing is, you'll never let it go. Whatever you do in your career, everything that you're doing in your career, everything you've done, any little job that you've done, any side hustle that you've done, any, you know, teen job that you had, they all had a certain element of obsession for you, I feel. Whatever, whether it was the people that you were working with, you were obsessed, whether it was a certain aspect or a task that you were working on, a project that you've been working on. All those little obsessions, they all add up and they all combine into a new perspective every time on your career. You transform and regenerate in your career a lot, and it feels like the main detail of your career is that you are someone who is meant to be all in to something, like really, really persistently into something in your career at all times. But it does not mean that it has to be the same thing all the time. It just means that you have to follow the calling of your curiosity and your obsession. But at the same time, I feel like when you stick to it, it's great. I think you're someone who can stick to things, which is amazing. But you also need to know when your curiosity is starting to tug at another thing, even if it feels like you can't let go of this. You know, it's kind of like there's a point of contact in the middle where one thing is becoming less and less interesting to you and another is starting to pique your interest, and you want to pretend like you don't want to unstick from this old task or old skill that you've been doing because you don't want to lose it. But the thing is, you're not going to lose it. You're someone who carries it. They almost become a part of your energy. These skills and tasks, you'll never forget them. You morph into these things in your career. I feel like you're someone who's quite intensely connected to your career. You might even maybe identify with your career from a personal perspective, like you may over-identify with your career, maybe in some cases, take what resonates. But it does feel like your advice for your career is allow yourself to get into that new obsession. It's safe to get into the new obsession. It's safe to establish a new routine to support that new obsession. Just allow yourself to morph through your career. You're not someone who's meant to pick a path and just go in a straight line, or you're not meant to be someone who decides, oh, this is the career that I want to do. It almost feels like your career is based more so on gaining skills and gaining obsessions, and your career kind of emerges from that. I wonder if you're a projector in human design. That's something that's coming through for me, because I think for them, I don't know that much about human design, so don't take my word for it. Do your research on this. But I think that projectors are meant to be very skill based, and they're meant to get obsessive about their skills and get really really precise and really master skills, and then get invited to give their expertise with these skills or give their perspective with these skills. So that's kind of the energy that I'm getting for you, group number 1. So you might be a projector. Another thing that you might be is a generator, because generators are meant to do things that they really enjoy and really can get like they really enjoy, and something that they really can get obsessive or interested in, but they kind of do 1 or 2 things at a time. And they need to have like a good routine and a good setting around it. And they need to respond to things that pique their curiosity. So I feel like I'm feeling generators are quite common, but I was getting more of a projector vibe. But for some of you, you could be a generator as well. Again, I don't know that much about human design. I was just called to say this. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing for your career. In the next 6 months, you're gonna have a new obsession in your career, which is gonna be kind of scary. You may feel like you don't want to leave the old obsession behind, but it's also going to bring you to more stability, which is great, and a higher sense of wisdom around your career, which is really, really cool. So that's what I have for you, group number 1. So I'm gonna leave that there. So let's move forward. We're gonna move on to group number 2. Let's get into it. So group number 2, let's get into your reading. Let's see what is coming up for your career. Let's first of all look at your current energy around your career. So what is happening presently when it comes to your career? How are you feeling about it? What's happening? 8 of Pentacles. That's so funny. 8 of Pentacles was the first card that came out for group 1 as well. 8 of Pentacles. And 6 of Wands. I'm loving how positive these groups are feeling to me so far. 8 of Pentacles and 6 of Wands. I'm willing to bet that you feel recognized in your career. Again, if you don't feel like that's the case, maybe pick another group, pick another pile. But I feel like you feel recognized for your efforts. I feel group 1 or group 2, sorry. I feel like you're feeling seen. You're feeling like you are some of you may even feel like if you are someone who wanted to gain a bit more, recognition on social media, or maybe if you wanted to gain more recognition publicly, you may feel like that's happening for you. Even if it's not like crazy, you're not like viral or anything like that, you may feel like, I'm seeing some progress. I'm seeing people recognize me. I'm seeing good feedback. I'm seeing like a feeling of someone getting good feedback from clients, from people around them, from their manager, from the public. It feels like the public is acknowledging your career in some sort of way, and that feels very satisfying and really, really fulfilling to you in some sort of way. And it also is encouraging you to keep going, to produce more work or work harder on your projects. It's this encouraging energy that you're really enjoying right now, which amazing. I'm loving how this feels like, honestly, the way that I'm looking at these cards, they're making me feel like you feel super encouraged that you're on the right path in your career in some sort of way. You feel super encouraged that you're doing well in your career in some sort of way, which is so cool. Honestly, I feel like you're at some sort of high peak in your career. And I'm not saying it's like you've peaked in your career. Like there's definitely further to go, especially with the Eight of Pentacles, but I feel like you're on some sort of high note. Like I'm feeling this sense of feeling like you're in a good heightened place when it comes to your career. So like victory is indicated here, you know, victory and confidence. Maybe you're gaining more confidence in what you do. This could even be, you know, I do feel for a lot of you this will be because other people are recognizing you more, and there's a lot of, either there's public recognition or you're getting more encouragement from outside external forces for your career. If you're studying, it could be that your fellow students are recognizing you for your work. Maybe you are getting really good feedback from teachers, from examiners, from tutors, whatever it is. You feel like you're being noticed in some sort of way if you're studying. Like you feel like you're getting good results in your exams, on your projects, whatever it is that you're working on. There's that kind of feeling that I'm picking up. Like I'm getting someone who's like a straight A student, and even if you're not a straight A student, it's definitely a feeling of like, I'm doing well in my studies. So I love the confidence. I really love the confidence about your career. So what's coming up in the next 6 months? Let's say we're looking at near future, and we'll look a little bit further after that. But wow, okay, damn, you're doing really well. You're very stable in the next 6 months. We've got the chart. You may have to narrow down your options in terms of, but I don't think you're going to have a problem with it. You may have to narrow down your options. So you may have a few options floating about, especially if you're a student. You may have a few options floating about of what you want to do. Maybe after you graduate, or once you finish school, maybe you're going to have multiple options of like the colleges that you go for. But I'm seeing you feel very confident still. You're going to have a lot of feelings of stability. We've got the Sun card. Wow. This is such a positive group. Like, I love delivering messages like this. It makes me feel so good. Yeah, you may have to walk away from certain options. There might be a feeling of, you know, when you get two good options of something, you get two opportunities or two options that seem and feel good, and you're like, I don't want to miss out on either of them, but I will have to because I have to pick one. There could be an instance like that. And I almost feel especially if you're studying, you may feel like if you're studying and you're leaving your degree or you're leaving your course in the next 6 months or anything like that, it feels like you've had such a good time that you almost don't want to leave. You almost don't want to go. You're like, I don't want to go. I don't want to continue on my path. But it's not in a bad way. It's like, I've enjoyed it so much. I've had such a good time. This is an experience that I will always cherish. I think in the next 6 months, you're going to feel very positive about your career. I think your career is going to be taking off in a way that brings a lot of content, energies, and feelings. I also feel like you're going to have fun in the next 6 months with your career because I feel like there's options. And so when we have options and we're aware that the options are all good, there might be this feeling of like, oh, I wish I could experience all of them. But at the same time, it creates a feeling of like, I can have fun now because I have this option and this option and this option. So I can have fun with my options. I can see which one stands out to me. I can see what feels more natural to me. And you're really aware of that. I also feel like you will have quite a bit of money saved. For some of you, this is definitely coming through. You may have quite a bit of money saved, or you are really getting ahead with your savings, which is really nice as well. If you are trying to save for something, like, it depends. But I'm just getting very positive energy. But there's almost a feeling if you're leaving a job or something like that and you're moving on to a better job, or maybe you're leaving a project and you're moving on to new projects, there's almost a feeling of like, oh, I wish I didn't have to leave. I wish I didn't have to go because I enjoyed it so much. I had such a good time. I'm gonna miss this part of my career. But it's not in a fearful way. It's not in a bad way. It's just from a point of view of like, damn, I really had a good time. I felt very successful. I almost feel like you might even think like, oh, I wish I wasn't so stressed. I wish I enjoyed myself more because look at how great this all turned out to be. There's that kind of feeling here as well. When you look back on something and you realize that maybe the times that you stressed about it or the times that you lost your confidence on it were actually some of the times that you're going to miss the most. There's a little bit of nostalgia here that I'm picking up on. That's really cool. The next 6 months are going to be really fun. Really fun. You're going to have options. You're going to feel stable and grounded. You're just feeling really secure in your career, and I feel like you're already feeling that energy, so amazing. So let's pull some astrology cards. Okay, we've got Capricorn and Destiny with Yod. So Capricorn, of course, is very aspirations and goals focused. So I definitely feel like you're setting very solid goals for yourself as well in the next 6 months. You could be setting some long-term goals. Like you could be deciding like in 5 years' time, this is where I want to see myself. So you could be setting some high aspirations for yourself. Although I think you're going to be doing it in a very realistic and grounded way, I think the reason that you're setting these long-term goals is because you've learned how to set short-term goals for yourself. I also feel like you're going to, with Capricorn, right? Capricorns like to delegate, and they like to be leaders, and they like to be in charge of projects. You might actually be in charge of a project or lead a project. Maybe you've been working on other people's projects or something like that. This will not resonate for all of you, obviously, but this is something I'm picking up. It's almost like you've been part of projects. Maybe you've been doing internships. Maybe you've been working as part of a team on certain projects. Maybe you've been working on your own projects where you've worked alone. But I'm seeing you actually step into the leadership role where you're leading a project for some of you, which is really exciting as well. You're leading a project. You're taking a project under your wing of some kind, like in some sort of way here. That's really cool. And you're stepping closer towards your destiny, towards your purpose, I suppose. And again, not to say career is purpose, by the way. Your life purpose can be anything. It doesn't have to be specifically related to career. But I feel like for a lot of you who picked this group, some part of your career is part of your life purpose. But I think the next 6 months honestly look like you're just going to feel like you're doing exactly what you're meant to be doing. You're not going to doubt it. Like that's the feeling that I'm getting. There's no doubt about the fact that what you're doing is what you're meant to be doing. You're not going to have questions about it. And I love that assurance. Again, there's that feeling of confidence, same as the Six of Wands energy, that it's like you're already channeling that confidence though. Okay, let's look into where you'll be in your career in about a year from now, or general guidance for, you know, where you could see yourself in a year from now. Because of course, tarot is not set in stone, so keep that in mind. It simply reads the present moment. But, you know, I'm already getting really positive energy, so we've got Seven of Swords, Three of Wands, we've got, well, the Magician kind of came out in reverse, but for some reason I want to put it upright. And the Knight of Wands. For some of you, you could definitely be traveling in a year from now. For your career, for career purposes. With the Three of Wands and the Knight of Wands. The Magician, again, there's a leadership quality here. if you're someone who works on projects, or if you're like self-employed and you tend to either work like freelance or something like that, or you are, you know, a business owner and you bring new projects into your business, it's amazing how much you're going to be able to manifest into your business or into your freelance work, or especially if you work alone. Like I'm getting for some of you, I'm going to go through more for some of you, but especially for those of you that work alone, it's like you wouldn't be able to believe right now, and maybe you won't when I tell you how much you're going to manifest into your work and your career in the next year. You're going to bring a lot into your career in the next year. It's like wherever you are right now, you probably wouldn't even be able to visualize how far you're going to be in a year's time, but it's going to be, with the Seven of Swords, it's going to require for you to open up your mind a little bit, and for you in some ways to stop lying to yourself on some sort of level. So I want to, and especially because the Magician came up kind of in reverse, but I was feeling it upright, like the Magician in reverse can talk about having certain instruments or having certain tools and not using them while they're literally right there in front of you. And so one thing that I'm getting is that while you're doing really good in the next 6 months and you're going to be doing amazing, I think you're going to be making good connections. I think you're going to be making good progress. What you're not realizing in the next 6 months is that you can push even further in your career, and you can go broader in your career. So you may, especially if you've like studied for something, maybe you see yourself, you know, you studied as a psychologist or something like that, and you see yourself in a certain line of work and you're like, I'm going to be a psychologist. And while I think you could be a very successful psychologist, extremely successful, it's almost like you're limiting yourself to that, but you can broaden your horizons. But the thing is, in order to do that, you will have to not lie to yourself. And sometimes it's like we lie to ourselves about our own abilities because we minimize ourselves. Because that's what Capricorns can do. I often find Capricorn placements, especially like, I think with Capricorn suns especially, they can minimize their own abilities to themselves. And while they'll see themselves as very hardworking and they'll see themselves as very ambitious, when it comes to broadening those ambitions, or when it comes to stepping outside of the box with those ambitions, they believe that they can't be original. Or like there's this, sometimes I find Capricorn placements or Capricorn suns specifically, just from my perspective, don't believe that they can be original or struggle to see that originality in themselves. And I feel like in a year's time, that's where I don't want to say you're struggling with that, because I don't see a struggle here, because regardless, you're doing well from what I'm seeing. But you may be lying to yourself about how original you can get with your career and how you can push your career into a place that is even more interesting and exciting than what you have in the moment, if that makes sense. But you need to be kind of brave and kind of I'm almost hearing you need to be a bit crazy about it. It's almost like you need to implement a certain level of craziness and bravery in order to attempt this broadening of your horizons with your career. But even if you don't, you're still doing really well and you're still really succeeding. But the thing is, you can push it further, and your guides want you to be aware of that. They want you to be aware that you can push it, like you can be crazier with your career. For some reason I keep hearing that. You can be a bit more crazy with your career. It's almost like you think that you're meant for some sort of standard path, and your guides are saying, Not exactly. You could push this further. You could be more eccentric with it. Fifth house. Passion, play, children, confidence, and creativity. It's like you can be more creative with it. And it's not to say that you're not a creative person. You might even be in a creative career, by the way. Maybe this is a creative career that you're doing. But it's almost like you can be more creative with how you manage your career. You can be more creative with where you take your career in a year's time. And it's almost like you're tempted to lie to yourself and tell yourself that you're not original enough to take it that bit further. Or that, you know, like, oh, I'm just not like that. That's not something that I do. Another thing that I'm seeing with fifth house, it could also talk about, look, we've got the six of wands. Again, six of wands talks about liking recognition. You like recognition. You like to be seen and recognized and be visible in some sort of way. Because this can be a question of visibility. So maybe your guides are saying you could push your career further to be more visible in some sort of way. Again, if we're going to use the example of psychologist, right? Of being a psychologist or something like that. If you were a psychologist, you could have a very, very successful career as a psychologist. But maybe you feel like you could write a really cool book on psychology. Maybe you have some findings. Maybe you notice some things about the world of psychology. And you're like, I could write a book. But then you go, oh, who do I think I am writing a book? I must think I'm real special or something like that. And your guides are like, no, you could literally write a book and this book could become quite recognized, whether it be in the world of psychology or maybe even beyond that. So don't be afraid to push the boundaries of visibility with your career in a year's time. We've got fire, confidence, optimism, passion, and bravery. Look at that. We've got bravery here with the Knight of Wands. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. That's basically what it is. There's literally no need to lie to yourself. That's a very strong feeling that I'm getting. Don't lie to yourself, especially if you are someone who's like, yeah, I'd like to be kind of seen and be more visible in my career and be more recognized. I'd like to be in the spotlight, at least to a certain degree. Don't lie to yourself about that. If you like the spotlight, you like the spotlight. There's nothing wrong with it. Being in the spotlight is not... Maybe some of you need to do some shadow work about being in the spotlight, because I feel what your guides are saying is no matter what you do in your career, you are going to be successful. You're just that kind of person. You're Capricorn. The Capricorn energy is strong here. You're just going to be successful no matter what you pick up, no matter what you do. But being successful is great. And for some people, that's something that they, that private success is something that they really enjoy and they don't need anymore. But I feel like for you to be seen and to be visible is an important element of maybe your soul's purpose. And there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe that's something that your soul craves to experience. Not for these selfish, egotistical reasons, but for the reason that sometimes being in the spotlight and being recognized by the public can shed some light onto other things that we want to learn. Like it's a learning experience that you can't get otherwise in privacy. So it's just something to consider for you, group number 2. So what a cool reading. I really enjoyed this one. So if you liked it, do like, subscribe, and comment. But I'm seeing really good things for you in terms of career in the next 6 months, in the next year. I'm seeing really good things. So I'm really happy when I get to deliver a message like this, So let's move on. So we're moving on to group number 3. So group number 3, let's get into your reading about your career. So first, I'm going to ask the cards about your current state in your career, how you're feeling. We've got the Death and Rebirth in reverse. Are you resisting some sort of transformation in your career? 8 of Pentacles. It's so funny we're talking about career. This is every group so far got 8 of Pentacles as their current energy, which is so cool. So interesting. I feel like some of you are resisting a shift or a change in your career. Either resisting, or for some of you, this shift or change hasn't happened fully. So maybe you've stepped into this transition and change and shift, and you started the process, but it hasn't fully come to the other end, if that makes sense. It hasn't fully developed. And your guides are saying, don't be worried. It's, you know, you're doing fine. The only thing that I'm getting is that continue pushing for that transition. Because what I'm getting for some of you, you may have initiated the transition, you may have initiated the transformation, but maybe along the way, you're kind of wondering if you should go back to the old way of, whatever, you know, whatever you were doing. Maybe you started changing careers, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe I should go back to the career that I was leaving. You know, is it time? Maybe it's not time for me to leave. The thing is just to keep pushing forward rather than looking backwards. That's the feeling that I'm getting. I also feel like a lot of you are not sure, like, if your career makes sense. I'm hearing it feels like someone's like, is any of this making sense? Is any of what I'm putting down and what I'm trying to achieve here, is any of it making sense? I don't really know. And your guides are saying, yes, it's making sense. And the reason that it's making sense is because you're moving away from a way of existing in your career or a job that doesn't serve you, or hasn't served you in a while. It just wasn't the right fit. That's what I'm hearing. So you had to move. You had to transition. But you're still in this transitioning phase. Like it's like you haven't seen the end of the tunnel, if that makes sense. You're still in the dark. And your guides are just saying it's okay to be in the dark. It's okay to feel like you're in the dark with what you're doing. But I do feel like there's some frustration as well. Maybe you feel like you can't do as much right now as well. So maybe you're in limbo. Some of you might be even unemployed currently. The feeling that I'm getting, it's kind of like, I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be, I keep hearing you're not supposed to be doing anything. Whatever you're doing right now is what you're supposed to be doing. And it may not make sense right now, but it will soon. So let's look at the next 6 months as I did for other groups. So your near future in your career, how is it going to come together? Because it just feels like there's a feeling of you floating and trying to ground yourself. And you're trying to ground yourself by understanding your career, whereas your guides are saying you need to ground yourself just as yourself, in your own body, in your own energy. Understand yourself before you try to understand your career. So for some of you, maybe that's an important message. And also what I'm hearing is like, it's just a career. You're more important than your career. That's something that, so for some of you, maybe it's time to take care of your own mental health, you know. And again, it's like, maybe you need to put less effort into your career. If you're doing a job right now that you're like, I don't like doing it, you know, start putting less effort into your job. Like, you know, that kind of feeling, like when you're showing up to your job, when you're showing up to whatever it is that you do, doing the bare minimum, especially if you're someone who's like earning minimum wage. I like, this is a very specific message. Maybe it's for someone. It's like, why are you putting in maximum effort for minimum wage? So for some of you, maybe there's a need to look at that from the, it's almost like, are you putting your career before your other needs? Are you putting your career before your other needs or wants even? Don't be putting your career before yourself. That's a big message. Okay, we've got 5 of Swords, the High Priestess. We've got the Queen of Cups. Look how all these cards are like bluish. It's almost like they're in the same setting. And the Star card in reverse. For a lot of you, I do feel like your guides want you to prioritize your mental health and your emotional health before your career. It's like your guides want you to be more selfish, because the Five of Swords can talk about selfishness. And to me, it feels like career isn't even something that your guides want you to prioritize right now. And of course, that can be really frustrating to hear, because that's how we earn money, or that's how we feel secure for a lot of us. But your guides are really highlighting the importance of your mental health, your emotional state. And for the next 6 months, they want you to focus on that as much as possible. They want you to ask for help. And they want you to stop over extending yourself for a job or a position, or some sort of recognition even. You've done enough in whatever aspect of your career. Maybe this is even to do with studies. For some of you, maybe you've been studying and maybe you overworked yourself with studies, and you've put yourself into a position where you're very overwhelmed and overworked. Because I'm getting, he always looks like he has a headache, and I feel like that's the energy that they're showing me about you. You've pushed yourself to a point of, at least you have a headache about this situation now. Your guides really want you to reconnect with your emotional, spiritual side and your mental health. Like mindfulness is coming through. So some of you may need to, maybe you used to be really into mindfulness. Maybe you used to really implement mindfulness in your day-to-day life. And it's something that's been slipping lately. And I think in the next 6 months, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be, the feeling that I'm getting is detachment. And if you're in a job and you're, earning money and you're acquiring wealth in some sort of way, or it's not like you need to stop working. It's not like you need to just completely go, I'm just not working anymore. If that's a possibility for you, by the way, I think that's what your guides want you to do. If there's an opportunity for you to not work, or to take an extensive break even, I'm seeing that your guides want you to do that. If an opportunity presents itself, if your job can allow you to do that. But even if there's someone that can support you in that, your guides really want you to do that. But if it's not a possibility for you, what I'm seeing is that minimal effort. Your guides want you to put minimal effort into your career right now, because your career is not what's important in their eyes. It's your mental health. It's your emotional stability. It's your connection to yourself. I feel like your higher self wants to step in and navigate how to respond to job situations. I'm always getting, if you're in a job and someone comes in, like a manager or something, starts panicking and going, oh my God, everything's going wrong. We need to hurry. I almost see your higher self wanting to come in and be like, I don't have time to hurry. I actually have a lot of tasks already, and I'm doing a lot. I don't have time, and I can't take on any more. I'll see what I can do maybe in a couple of weeks, but right now I'm all flat out. So sorry, I'm not going to be taking on any more work. I'm not going to be taking on any more clients. I'm not going to be taking on any more tasks or responsibilities. And, I'm even getting, even if they offer to pay you extra, being like, no. Because the way she has her hands up, it's like, she's like, no, not my problem. That's the feeling that I'm getting with the Queen of Cups here. It's almost like, no, not my problem. I'm not taking on any more than what I'm already doing. I'm not taking on anymore. If you're self-employed, maybe making that promise to yourself. I honestly feel for a lot of you in this group, you're doing too much. It's not about what you need to do. It's not about what else do you need to take on in order to succeed. And I feel like when you start dropping responsibilities and dropping tasks and moving, it's almost like your guides want you to move at a glacier pace in your career. And not in terms of achieving things, because you will naturally achieve things as the time moves on, but day to day, you know, the way you sit down at your desk, if you do work at a desk, sitting down as slowly as possible, turning on whatever, your computer as slowly as possible, or whatever, setting up your equipment for whatever you're doing, slowly but intentionally, not in a way that is like, you know, you're not a sloth, but you're like, I'm slow because I'm intentional. I'm slow because I care about what I do. That's the thing. Maybe you feel like to show that you care about something that you do, you have to move fast and you have to move with a lot of intensity, or maybe that's the way that you used to think. And now you're realizing that in order to show that you care about what you do, you have to do it slowly and intentionally. I'm seeing you reject, like if you are someone who works with clients, you might even reject like really stressful clients. Because maybe that's another thing that I'm getting. Some of you could have been taking on stressful clients or clients that didn't appreciate you properly. If you are someone who works with clients. And in the next 6 months, you're rejecting certain clients. And maybe you were afraid in the past that if you were to reject the difficult clients, that clients that you actually enjoy working with, that were peaceful, would not come your way, or that, you know, there wouldn't be clients to replace them. But that's actually happening. You're getting clients that are actually a lot more favorable to your energy. I'm also hearing that cliche, rejection is protection. So for a lot of you, maybe if clients rejected you, or you have clients or certain coworkers that have been rejecting you, that could actually be protection, because you don't have to deal with them. You don't have to engage with them then. It shows you that you can remove yourself and detach yourself from them. Grand Trine blessings. I feel like whatever you're going through right now, and again, probably something people hate to hear, blessings in disguise is what I'm getting. Because the High Priestess talks about disguising something. So in the next 6 months, the slower you can move, the better you can align yourself with the energy that you truly enjoy embodying. And I feel like a lot of you in this group enjoy being slow paced. I feel like you are someone who naturally works best when you are in a slow paced energy or environment. And not slow, like, again, not this sloth energy where you're slow and you're moving really slow. The energy where you're slow enough that you can concentrate your intention on something with everything you've got. We've also got 7th house, partners. It could also be that some of you are, by creating this slowness in yourself, you're noticing the people that you work with best. Again, makes me think of clients as well, because it's one-to-one relationships and partnerships. So for some of you, maybe maybe that's the way your business works. Like maybe you have a lot of one-to-one clients. I think a lot of you are, especially if you do work with one-to-one clients, you're going to figure out the kind of clientele that you want to have, the type of client that you enjoy, the type of client that you want to take on. And you're not going to be taking on any clients that don't fit that description, because you know that you can't help that type of client who doesn't fit that description. There's no point in you working with that client. For others of you, this could be pertaining to coworkers. You figure out which coworkers resonate with your energy and who do you want to engage with, and which coworkers you can feel more detached from. Not that you won't have to engage with them or talk to them, but you're figuring out how to deal with people one-to-one a lot better. Your guides really want you to slow down. That's a big feeling that I'm getting here. So let's say in a year from now, what is your energy around your career based on everything that we have talked about so far? We've got the three of wands. We've got the moon card. Some of you could be, I wonder if some of you are in a spiritual job or something like that. Because again, I'm getting clients, one-to-one, but I'm also getting a lot of intuitive and spiritual cards. Some of you, if you are someone who works in like an intuitive field, or you use your intuition a lot in your job, you need to cleanse more. You need to cleanse your space more, because even look at this Eight of Pentacles. She has all these like cleansing things on her desk. So for some of you, maybe you need to cleanse your energy more, and maybe you need to get more firm or strong on the type of person, like, you know, what kind of client will I not accept? You know, if they're verbally abusive with me, I mean, obviously, but like if they're demanding, if they don't respect my boundaries as a reader or a medium or whatever, especially if you're a spiritual worker, I feel like you're going to gain a lot more self-respect when it comes to your work. But outside of, I mean, that pertains to you even if you're not a spiritual worker. But I just feel like maybe a lot of spiritual workers, even if you do it as a side hustle, I think you might have picked this group. Your intuition is definitely improving within the next year with the High Priestess and the Moon here. Got the Five of Cups, so many cups. I wonder if you're also, like, if you have a lot of water in your chart. Predominantly water in your chart. Queen of Wands in reverse. I just want to clarify the Queen of Wands in reverse. Yeah, okay. Yeah, makes sense. I do feel like in the next year, in a year from now, or from whenever you're watching this reading, you are going to navigate your intuition, not just when you're like, especially for those of you that are intuitive. I almost feel like I'm reading for someone intuitive, like an intuitive type of job or work. You're not only going to navigate your intuition within the readings that you do for people or the messages that you relay to people, but you're also going to navigate your intuition in how you want to work, when you want to work, and who you want to work with. So that's for those of you that are in spiritual work. And you're going to really find like a happy middle for that. Now, I'm seeing that there will be some disappointments happening in the next 6 months or so around maybe certain people that you were hoping that would be like good clients, maybe clients that you thought would be good clients, but they end up not really fulfilling what you wanted them to fulfill, or maybe even coworkers that you thought, you know, you had a good rapport with. But what I'm seeing out of that is that you're going to realize the people that were going to help you and were going to... It's like by realizing the kind of client or coworker or collaborator that you don't want to have, you're going to realize the kind of collaborator, coworker, client that you do want to have. But you're going to slow your energy way down. Like, I'm getting someone who is at a very high point, very hyper almost. So you might be feeling quite hyperactive right now when it comes to your career, bringing their energy into the slowness and consistency and intention. And I feel like you're going to become so intentional around who you engage with in your career. And that is going to bring you a lot of satisfaction in what you do for a living or what you do as a career. So let's pull more astrology cards. Your intuition is going to like spike so much in the next year or so. Yeah, your intuition and this is a very spiritually oriented group, and that's why I feel like some of you must be in spiritual careers. Or maybe you're making a switch into a spiritual career. That could be another one. Maybe you are someone who is moving from, you know, another type of a career into a spiritual one. And maybe, again, this transition doesn't feel like it's the easiest. It doesn't feel like it's the smoothest, but it may not feel like a smooth transition, and maybe it maybe feels like a transition that is testing you, but in reality it's bringing you a lot of blessings, especially with the Nine of Cups here, clarifying the Queen of Wands. You're going to learn a lot from your, it's kind of like if you are not feeling like you want to take leadership in your own life right now, in a way your guides are saying there's nothing to take leadership in. You just need to observe. And that's what I'm getting. It's like in the next 6 months, what you're doing is you're mostly observing. And you're being very slow paced and intentional. And you're like, I'm going to observe what's going on around me. And I'm going to slow myself way down. I'm not going to like jump up and be the first person to put my hand up when something needs to be done. I'll be the last oh, we've got mutable energy as well. You're going to, there's this feeling of surrendering and observing your career, what you like in your career, what you do, how you operate in your career. And as you slow that energy down, and you maybe come out of this feeling of wanting to constantly do and achieve and do more and more and more, you're going to realize that the things that you thought you wanted in your career are not, and the kind of people that you thought you wanted to work with in your career are not that at all. And that's going to bring you immense emotional fulfillment. It's almost like these disappointments are actually leading you to a very clear vision of what your career needs to be like and what you want this career to be like. And again, it's like, that cliche of, when you see what you don't want, it sharpens your view of what you do want. And I feel like that's exactly what's going on with you in the next 6 months. And by the time, this time next year happens, you will be very clear, and your intuition is going to be so sharp that it's going to come to you naturally. It's going to feel like, there's no easier task when you're discerning with your intuition what is for you in your career and what is not. Yeah, that's what I have for you, group number 3. So cool reading. Again, they're all very different. They're all very interesting. So I'm going to move on. Oh, so we're moving on. Let's move on to group number 4. So group number 4, let's get into it. What is going on in your career? What messages want to come out? So let's look at your current energy in your career first, and then we'll see what messages are coming through. So let's start with current energy of group number 4 in their career. We've got the King of Cups and the Knight of Cups. Okay. Well, there's 2 energies that I'm picking up. For some of you, you might feel like you're more focused on your love life rather than your career. Maybe you're more focused on your relationships than your career. And another thing that I'm picking up on here, if that's not the case, you are just... I'm kind of getting someone who just wants to enjoy life and not to get too bogged down by where their career is going, which is actually a really nice energy. It's nice to not get so bogged down with your career, right? So maybe some of you are letting go of expectations in your career and you're wanting to make sure that you're enjoying your life first, no matter what you do for a living or what you do in your job situation. Some of you could be really close to your father or your dad or a father figure in your life, maybe a grandfather. That's just something that's coming up. Maybe that's who you're focused on as well. For some of you, maybe you're very focused on your partner. But even if it's not romantic, I just feel like you're more so focused on the people in your life. That's another thing that I'm getting. Like maybe there's certain people in your life that you feel you want to put all your intention and energy into right now. And your career is kind of like, it's fine. I don't think you have any negative feelings towards your career. But I'm not even getting positive feelings towards your career. What I'm getting with your career, it's more like it's there and it will be there. But I am focused on other things right now. I'm interested in more emotional connections with my friends, with my family, with my partner, with people around me. You could be more emotionally inclined. Maybe you have a water moon for some reason came through. So maybe you have a water moon. But I just feel someone who is not too bogged down by their career. Not really. And it's not that you don't care about it. It's not that you are not ambitious. It's just currently, in this present moment, as I'm doing this reading, career is like, it's there. And you don't feel negatively. You don't feel positively about it. It's just there. And you do whatever you do. And the focus for you is the people around you right now. People that you love, people that you care about, people that you want to see do well in life. Some of you maybe are focused on your children as well. That could be something. So yeah, I'm getting that kind of feeling. So let's see what's coming up in your career in the next 6 months. Again, if you don't have children, it could be that you're just focused on, like, I'm getting, you're focused on your emotional state, your emotional pursuits in life. So the next 6 months for group 4 in their career, what is coming up? 3 of Swords in reverse. Healing some sort of, maybe something about your career has recently hurt you. Maybe that's why you don't want to focus on it too much. Disappointed you in some way. Maybe you're in that energy of like, oh, my career is annoying me. I don't want to think about it right now. I do feel for a lot of you, maybe you've actually in recent past or in the past, you've felt some sort of disappointment that made you feel quite even lonely, or it's like your career made you feel lonely or like you didn't belong. And so maybe that's what caused you to just be like, I don't want to think about career. 5 of Cups in reverse. I'm getting the feeling of someone who's like, I don't regret what I did, or I don't regret where I went with my career, but it did disappoint me, and it did like maybe cause some feelings that I wish I didn't have to experience. In the next 6 months, you're getting over some sort of disappointment in your career. You're moving on from something. Yeah, you're like, I'm moving on from this. And I feel like if this disappointment has happened already, like I feel like for most of you this disappointment has happened already, and for some of you maybe it even has happened a while back. Maybe some sort of project didn't work out, maybe you failed a test or something like that, or an exam. But you'll be moving on. You'll be moving forward. You're kind of like, that's in my past now. This feels like someone who's trying to figure out what they want to do in their career, but they're not overburdening themselves with it. It's like someone who, again, it feels like you're not that career oriented. Like maybe you're more focused on people in your life, or on your own well-being right now. Maybe you're focused on your health or something like that. Again, it can be different things, but it feels very emotional for most of you. It's like, I don't have time to think about my career right now and where my career is heading. Maybe you prefer to just do, maybe it's like, you know, how some people say, is it like, I work to live, I don't live to work. Maybe you're kind of like, that's your sentiment. I work to live, don't live to work. You really don't want your career to stress you out. And maybe that's where the disappointment came from. Maybe you feel like past jobs or past career situations just made you stressed and put you under pressure and put you under these like strenuous difficulties. And you're kind of like, and for what? Like, why did I Like, it's not something that I want for myself. So let me just get like I'm kind of getting someone doing easy jobs, maybe easy, like going for a job that they know it's going to be easy. You just go in, you do the job, and then you go home and you work on things that you actually want to work on. Some of you might actually take up like some sort of a job that requires very little mental energy, that requires very little thinking, so that you can come home and think about your emotional pursuits, or maybe even projects that you're emotionally interested in. Because this can be also you being interested in emotionally being interested in certain projects, or you know, creative pursuits or something like that. I feel like maybe some of you are taking a break. Like if it's possible for some of you, you could be taking a break from working altogether in the next 6 months. You could actually have someone taking care of you in some sort of way in the next 6 months. Or maybe you'll be able to reduce your hours or something like that. That's, yeah, your solar eclipse. It's like there's a... You may want a radical change in how you pursue career, or how you even look at your career. It's kind of like you don't want to look at your career from that perspective of I work, I earn, goals, aspirations. You may want to look at your career as a lot more fluid and a lot more, you know, it's almost like you don't want to even say the word career. The word career might grate on you, you know, like that's kind of what I'm feeling. For some of you, that could be the case. Oh, we've got Grand Trine blessings. If I'm honest, I feel like in the next 6 months, you're doing something that's easy to you. Like, it feels like it may not be your perfect career. It may not be something that you are ultimately going to end up in. That's what I'm getting for a lot of you. It's not necessarily something that is your passion, but it's going to be easy. Like, I'm getting an easy job. And maybe you're doing it while you try to figure out your emotional state. You try to figure out what is it you want to do. How do you want to proceed? Like, it doesn't feel like someone trying to pursue anything. And again, for some people, that's just not their life purpose. Like, some people are not meant to be in careers or jobs. Some people are meant to be in these, you know, their life purpose might be something else. So, but I'm not saying that's the case for you specifically. Like, it could be that you're just trying to figure things out, but you don't want to stress while you figure it out. You don't want to, and I feel like whatever this job is, you could actually meet really nice people. You could actually engage with people who you get on with. You could actually really get to know yourself. Not because of this job or this, whatever this move is, but more so because it's like you'll have more time to yourself. You'll have more time to think about what you like, what you don't like. Yeah. If you're studying, maybe you're taking a break from studies as well. But if you're not, it could be that you're just maybe, again, reducing your hours if that's possible in terms of study. How much you study, how much effort you put into your studies. But there's a feeling of like, I want to move on from my past disappointments. I want to move on from past things that didn't work out for me. It's kind of like you just want to chill for the next 6 months, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in it. And I think you don't feel any shame in it. You're like, yeah, I just want to chill. So in a year's time, or, you know, around a year from now, what is your energy? Again, we've got this Cups energy. So a lot of you could just be more focused on your emotional relationships rather than career. Or you want a career that feels genuinely emotionally stable, where you don't feel like you have to strain yourself emotionally. Oh, well, I'm seeing something here. We've got the Ace of Pentacles and we've got the Knight of Pentacles. I think you're going to find whatever it is you're looking for. You're going to find whatever it is you've been looking for. It feels like maybe these 6 months that I feel like if you can take a break for the next 6 months, then take it, because it's going to bring a lot of clarity to you. It's going to bring a lot of clarity about what direction you want to go into. So I am seeing you come to a point where you feel like you figured out what career emotionally will feel safe to you, will feel stable, and I see a beginning in that. So around a year from now, you will only be in the beginning stages of whatever this new career is to you. And there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot to discover in this career, but you're excited and you feel connected to it. I just want to clarify the Justice in reverse. Queen of Swords. You're taking your power back in some sort of way. It could even be that some of you, even, this is not going to be for all of you, but for some of you, I feel this message. You might even come back to whatever career has disappointed you with a new, like, fresh set of eyes. And you are not, like, I'm hearing you're not playing games anymore. To, like, maybe to gain justice. This is also a very specific message. Some of you might sue a job for doing you dirty or doing something wrong to you. And you could actually receive financial compensation for it. But that's not going to be for all of you, obviously. But that's just something that came in. So maybe that's the disappointment that you experienced. Maybe something happened where, you know, you may actually be prompted to sue a place of work or a job. But I'm seeing you feel very stable. You know what you want from your career. A year from now, you've kind of started something here, and you're feeling very stable, and you feel emotionally connected, and you feel like you have good boundaries, and you're moving slow in your career, but it's the way that you like it, and you're not overwhelming yourself. It's funny, I feel like this group and group 3 have some similarities, but I feel like at the same time you're different. We've got Libra, balance, and the moon. Yeah, some of you may not... If you're someone who doesn't want to, like, work, like, in a job, and this is going to be specific again, but if you're someone who wants to be a parent rather than a stay-at-home parent or someone who looks after the home, I'm seeing that for you. You know, if you're like, I actually don't want to have a career, I don't want to do a job, there's no shame in that, you know? So if that's something that you want, I'm seeing that for you in around a year's time. If you do want a career, but you want a career that is slow-paced, that is very balanced, there's a lot of fairness. And again, we've got Libra again with the Justice card. Some of you might be suing an old job or something like that. But there's a sense of balance and peace wherever you are a year from now. And I think these 6 months, the next 6 months of you figuring things out, they're going to be crucial in realizing what is it that you want from your, like, the kind of job that you want or a career that you want. You're going to find your footing in that kind of way. But the key word that I'm getting is, like, not very demanding. I feel like you don't want to be in a job or a career that's very demanding, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you're going to find the perfect non-demanding job, whatever it is. You're going to find the perfect scenario or environment where you feel like not much is needed from you. I even feel like some of you may want a job or a career where you don't have that much responsibility, but you're compensated quite well for it anyway. So that's what it feels like. It's like a job that's not too demanding, where you can go home at the end of the day, or you can switch off at the end of the day and not think about it at all. But it's very balanced, relaxed. Like, even the way she's standing on the balcony with this cup, it kind of feels like you could take plenty of breaks if you wanted to, if you needed to. And there's something about this job, whatever this job is going to end up being, something very nurturing about it, something very protective and secure about it. So it might even be that this is the kind of job where, you're not going to be fired, or that you're safe. Like maybe the contract is so good that like that they can't fire you or they can't let go of you in some sort of way, that it gives you a sense of security. You feel like you found stability in it. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing for you, group number 4. If you like this video, do like, subscribe, and comment, especially with your feedback. I'd love to hear, is it that you you want to focus on emotional connections and you'd prefer to be more like a stay-at-home parent or stay-at-home partner, whatever it is. For a lot of you who do want that, I am seeing that in these cards. So that's what I'm seeing for you. That's all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I'm going to leave it here and I'll see you soon. Bye.